What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC 297. We got Sean Strickland going against Dricus du Plessis.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another betting breakdown video. This week we are breaking down the first pay-per-view card of 2024, headlined by Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this card. I'm really looking forward to this card as a fan. Really looking forward to this card from a betting perspective. Unlike last week, we have a lot more closer lines. We don't have, minus 1,000 favorites. We don't have, a minus 1,600 fight doesn't go to decision props. I think we're back to normal this week, and I think a lot of value has stuck out to me this week. I have a ton of plus money sprinkles, a ton of late props as well. I had a ton of success with those last year. And looking to hit some of those, some big plus money spots this week. So before we get into it and break it all down, if you guys could please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. It is much, much appreciated as always. And as always, going to be going through these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you do want a further, more in-depth breakdown on why I like what, why I like who, I did post a full card breakdown and prediction video on Monday, and then also went live on Friday with some final thoughts. And then also, quick reminder, going to be going live 2 hours before the prelims start, 4:30 Eastern Time. For Best Bet, we got 1:30 MMA, Uncle Weezy, and then Luke sparring with Reality, stacked panel for the Best Bet show. And should be a fun one for the first pay-per-view. All right, I say we get into it. And we're going to break it down with probably the 1-800-gambler fight of all time, a fight that nobody should be betting on, but in reality, I think everybody's betting on this fight. I mean, this has to be the most least durable fight ever, and it's a flyweight fight. These guys have 14 combined losses, and 13 of them come inside the distance. And there's been some crazy line movement, on this fight, on this card, and this is one of them. So Malcolm Gordon, a lot of people are on him, which I can understand. Minus 110, minus 120, minus 130, Malcolm Gordon, that's fair, right? If you think that Jimmy Flick's showing up for a paycheck, if you think Jimmy Flick doesn't care, doesn't want to be here, if you think Malcolm Gordon knocks him out, minus 130, Malcolm Gordon, fair. Minus 220, minus 215, minus 200, Malcolm Gordon, it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, this is a guy in Malcolm Gordon who missed weight, right? And it's a concern. It was his second time missing weight, and if you guys remember going back to his last fight against Jake Hadley, on his walkout, one of the commentators, I forget which one it was talking about how Malcolm Gordon was like having serious problems with like either his kidneys or his liver, and missed weight in that fight. Got dropped, with a body shot, and at the end of the day, I just can't trust either of these guys. Malcolm Gordon has probably the worst durability I've ever seen. 7 losses, all 7 of them inside the distance, and Flick's not that much better. 6 losses, all 6 of them, or 7 losses, 6 of them coming by knockouts. So what I'm doing here is, and it's disgusting, like this, betting on this fight has taken years off my life, but I do have a half unit shot on Jimmy Flick inside the distance at plus 300. The reason being is he's fighting Malcolm Gordon, and I feel like no finish prop against Malcolm Gordon should be anywhere near plus 300. I would bet like a pillow against Malcolm Gordon inside the distance at plus 300. So could Malcolm Gordon knock out Flick? Absolutely, but I mean, minus 205 Malcolm Gordon, and what are we doing? But at the same time, how can you trust Jimmy Flick, who just doesn't look too interested? With that said, though, the guy that doesn't look too interested did show up. He made weight, came in early, whereas Malcolm Gordon missed weight for the second time in a row. I think something might be up with Gordon. So beware on this fight. And this fight has taken several years off my life. Best of luck to everybody that is betting this one. Moving on, we got Jasmine Jazz the Vicious going against Priscilla Cachoeira. More weigh-in shenanigans here. So this fight was scheduled to be a flyweight fight, 125. Jasmine gets a call, and they want to make it a catchweight. Priscilla's having a tough time making weight, right? And Jasmine accepts, and then she gets another call. Priscilla's still having trouble making the catchweight of 130 pounds. Okay, I'll move it to 135. So this was a fight that was scheduled to take place at 125. It's now a 135-pound bantamweight fight, right? So Priscilla Cachoeira, she cheats once again. She gets what she wants, and this fight is now a bantamweight fight. So I wasn't going to bet this fight. I really wasn't. I was going to stay away. I think Jasmine by decision makes the most sense. But, I was searching the props, and there are some stupid numbers that stuck out. So Jasmine KO2 plus 2,000. Jasmine KO3 plus 3,000. I put a quarter unit on both of those. I mean, those prices just don't make sense. Bet365. I think she probably does win by decision, but she was close to finishing Gabriela Fernandez with a TKO in the second round of her fight. It was like 2 fights ago. She had her in the crucifix position, and if Cachoeira is compromised in this fight, maybe she is. Maybe she's injured. Apparently, somebody from Jasmine's team said that Cachoeira was having like stomach issues. So, I bet those KO sprinkles before the whole weigh-in shenanigans. So yeah, I mean, I like these late sprinkles for Jasmine Jazz Divisions. I went with KO. You could just go the round in general, but yeah, these KO late sprinkles for Jasmine were ridiculous. So quarter unit on each for me, and I think she gets it done. I think Jasmine minus 400, just about. I'd be kind of surprised if Priscilla Cachoeira pulled this off. Also, if you guys can bet point deductions, go. This is the fight to do it, because Priscilla cheating. The cheating has already started, and the fight hasn't even happened. Next, we got Johan Lioness going against Sam Patterson. Yeah, so there's a couple spots sticking out. So I feel like it's a pretty easy fight to break down. I feel like Johan Lioness has a clear path to victory, and that's to take Sam Patterson's head off and punt it into like the cheap seats, right? Like, he can definitely knock out Sam Patterson in the first round. Sam Patterson, very hittable, chin up in the air, tall man's defense. Johan Lioness, he does really one thing well, and that's he has a lot of power. He hits hard. So yeah, Lioness can go out there and knock this guy out. If he does not knock him out, though, in the first 5 minutes, I think that heavily favors Sam Patterson. So what I'm doing, the fight doesn't go to decisions, minus 650. It's heavily favored to end inside the distance. It is the most likely fight to end inside the distance according to the odds. What I'm doing is Lioness KO1. I think that's how he wins, plus 280. 0.75 units, and then I also sprinkled 0.5 units on Sam Patterson round 2, plus 750, and then a quarter unit on Patterson round 3 at plus 1400. If Lioness does not knock out Patterson in the first round, I think Patterson breaks this guy and finishes him just like Gabe Green did in the second or third round. So Lioness early, Patterson late. That's kind of how I'm attacking violence in this one here. Moving on, we got Jillian Robertson going against Polyana Viana. Some more line movement in this one. We got Robertson, who was, I think, like minus 200, minus 215 earlier in the week. She's now like minus 305. So yeah, this money line's gotten hammered. I think it's a good matchup for Robertson, though. I mean, outside of like an armbar from guard or maybe an early knockout from Viana, this is a good matchup for Robertson. The reason being, Viana, terrible takedown defense. No takedown defense. On paper, it's 43%. And I was shocked to see it was that high, because she literally does not even attempt to try to stuff takedowns. She'll even pull guard because she wants to be on her back. And it's not going to work out against Jillian Robertson. Robertson's a very good grappler, very dangerous. And I think Robertson's very live to go out there and finish Viana, who's been subbed twice in the UFC. Robertson's been talking all week about a potential TKO. And I wouldn't completely rule that out. Like, Robertson does have solid ground and pound, but I do think it's more so submission. I do think she's going to be able to take Viana down at will. I think she's going to beat her up a little bit, and I think she's going to finish her in the second or third round. So what I did, I think Robertson inside the distance is fine. Robertson inside the distance is minus 110. Maybe you can get plus money on some books. But I have a half unit on Robertson round 2, plus 500, and then a half unit Robertson round 3, plus 1,000. I think it happens later in the fight, after that first round, where Viana is most dangerous. Next, we got Surrey City going against Ramon Tavares. And yeah, so to end the weigh-in shenanigans, we have this fight where Tavares is the last one to show up with like a couple minutes to spare. And he shows up, he looks terrible. I mean, he looks rough, he looks bad. He comes in and weighs like 139.5, missing weight by a ton. Luckily, the fight's still on, but yeah, Ramon Tavares did not look good. And there's a spot that I had circled all week, even before the weigh-ins, and it was the fight to end by knockout at minus 105. So I liked that spot all week, had it circled, was about to play it, and then once I saw the weigh-ins with Tavares, I liked that spot even more. Surrey City does have one submission, but the rest of his wins are by knockout or decision. And Tavares, he does have a couple submissions, but against lower level guys, Tavares has been knocked down in both of his losses. And if he is coming in here any type of way compromised with the weight cut, or maybe he's coming here with an injury, I think that another knockout's in play for both these guys, right? Like, if Tavares wins, I see him being by knockout. This guy Tavares has crazy power. And if City wins, I see it being by knockout as well. So this is kind of like a post-weigh-in read for me. I don't think Tavares looked great on the scale. I thought he looked horrible. I thought he looked like the worst one out there. He missed weight by a ton. I already do question Tavares' cardio. And City's not typically like a first-round KO guy. I know he KO'd Tavares in their first fight, but, typically this is a guy in City who kind of breaks people down a little bit, gets them out of there in the second, third, or even he has like a fourth-round finish as well. This guy's had 5-round fights, so what I kind of see happening is I think both guys are live for a knockout at any point in this fight, but if this fight does get extended second, third round, it's going to heavily favor City here. And I think City's going to be live for these late finish props. So I did lean towards Tavares earlier in the week. After the weigh-ins, absolutely not. I think it's a terrible look. I'm glad I did not put any money on Tavares because he looked awful out there. City round 2 plus 550 quarter unit. City round 3 plus 1100 quarter unit. I think City probably gets him out of there in the second or third round. And if Tavares does win, I kind of lean it towards being like a first round KO at this point, especially after seeing the weigh-ins. So that's a big weigh-in read. Tavares looked terrible. Did not like what I saw from him. Give me fight ends by KO first and foremost, and those late City props I think are in play. Moving on, we got Charles Jourdain going against Sean Woodson. Love this fight. I think this fight's going to be a fun fight. And yeah, I like Charles Jourdain here, but this line is kind of getting out of control a little bit. So Charles Jourdain opened up minus 135, currently minus 215. And the reason I like Charles Jourdain, I went and looked through his entire UFC career, right? And he has 5 losses. In all 5 of those losses, he's getting taken down at least twice. And all 5 of his losses taken out at least twice. In this fight, though, he's going against a boxer in Sean Woodson who, could take him down. Anybody could take down Jourdain, but I would highly recommend for Sean Woodson not to take down Jourdain. If he does, he's probably getting subbed, right? We've seen Jourdain get a couple submissions, a couple guillotines in the first round. Landwehr, Ricardo Ramos in his last fight, guillotine. That was incredible. So if Sean Woodson wants to shoot takedowns, go for it, but he's probably getting tapped out, and it's only going to expend energy that he doesn't really need to expend. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a fight that does primarily play out on the feet. And I think Jourdain, it's gonna look a lot like the Rosa Woodson fight, where Rosa was kind of walking down Woodson the entire time, and eventually the pressure eventually got to him. It eventually broke him. I think Woodson's breakable. I don't think he's really durable. We just saw him get knocked out by Luis Saldana. It wasn't officially a knockout, but Saldana dropped him like 3 times, and instead of Saldana finishing the fight, he was celebrating. It was the most bizarre fight IQ displayed I've ever seen in my life, but he almost got finished by Luis Saldana, right? I think, Jourdain's going to come in here. He's going to show Woodson no respect, and he shouldn't, All the power is in favor of Jourdain. He's going to walk him down. He's going to pressure him, and I think Jourdain's going to break him down the stretch. Jourdain, round 3, is a mythical creature. That's his best round. It's like he's possessed out there in that third round, and that's kind of where I'm leaning towards, him getting the finish. So I like Charles Jourdain inside the distance, plus 165, 0.75 units. Jourdain round 2, plus 700 for a quarter unit. And then Jourdain round 3, plus 1,000 for a quarter unit. I think Jourdain breaks this guy and drowns him and finishes him in the third round there. And yeah, if this fight does go the distance, though, I do think it could be a lot closer than the line does indicate. It's just, I don't think Sean Woodson has the best durability. His only loss comes inside the distance, and he should have been finished by Luis Saldana, like I said. So, yeah, give me Jourdain to go out there and get the finish. All right, next we got Brad Katona going against Garrett Armfield. And yeah, I like Katona here quite a bit. The money lines got hit throughout the week. He was minus 170, currently minus 210. But I found a spot that I did like, and that's going to be Brad Katona to win in round 3 or decision at plus 100. I think that's his most likely win scenario here is probably a decision. Brad Katona has the worst finish rate on the card at 31%. With that said, though, I think a Brad Katona third round finish is very much in play here. Brad Katona, his last 3 submissions, including one against Bryce Mitchell, has come in the third round, and Garrett Armfield's been tapped out twice. I don't think Garrett Armfield has the best cardio. I really don't. Garrett Armfield's been submitted twice in the second round. He also lost the decision to Ronnie Lawrence. Anytime Garrett Armfield loses, it's because he's getting taken down and either submitted or controlled, and Brad Katona can do exactly that. I don't think Brad Katona is going to go out there and stand and bang with this guy. I think he's going to get him down to the mat, wear on him, and probably win a decision. But like I said, I think the late submission for Brad Katona could be in play. So I like the round 3 decision for Brad Katona first and foremost. I think that's a great way to play him this week. Worst finish rate on the card. So yeah, 1 unit plus 100, and then also have a quarter unit on Brad Katona round 3 at plus 1,400. I think a late sub could be in play here for Katona. Moving on, we got the main card opener, Movsar Evloev going against Arnold Allen. Yeah, this was one of the very first fights I broke down or looked into, research, whatever. And I thought I was going to smash the Evloev money line. The more I kind of thought about it, I kind of backed off a little bit. I still think it's a good matchup for him. I know a lot of people are on Allen, but Evloev, I think this guy's just different. This guy's averaging almost 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. He's very high volume. He's very tough, very durable. He'll get put into some bad spots, but he'll always get out of them. He's going against Arnold Allen, who has good takedown defense. I'd even say, pretty good takedown defense, but it's not elite. It's not incredible. And for you to beat Movsar Evloev, which nobody's been able to do, so I think you need incredible elite takedown defense, and I'm just not sure Allen fits that bill. With that said, though, we haven't really seen Allen's takedown defense tested in a very long time, but the footage we do have, shows that he can absolutely be taken down. So I feel like this fight could be competitive potentially, but I like Evloev. I like Evloev's minute winning ability. I think Evloev's going to have no problem getting the fight down on the mat. He can wrestle for 15 minutes, even on the feet, although I love Allen's striking. He has underrated power. I think Evloev can even, put up some solid volume on the feet, but, his bread and butter is going to be the wrestling, the grappling there. So I like Evloev, and a spot that does stick out, me and Uncle Weezer were talking about it on our Sunday show. Evloev decision would be the way to go. We were expecting it to be like minus 150 because Evloev just finishes nobody. 7 wins in the UFC, all by decision. Allen's never been finished. I was expecting Evloev decision to be something stupid like minus 150, 60, 75 even. But no, Evloev decision, like minus 114. I like it. I think that's how I'm going to play it. And I have 1 unit on that at minus 114. Not going too hard on this fight, because I don't want to completely roll Allen. I know a lot of people are on him, but I do think Evloev wins this fight by decision. Was also looking at the split, but it's only plus 350, so staying away. All right, next we got Chris Curtis going against Marc-Andre Barriault. And I wasn't going to touch this fight, but there's a spot that does stick out, and that's, so Chris Curtis is minus 180 on the money line. Everybody loves Chris Curtis this week. I haven't really seen anybody picking Marc-Andre Barriault. I mean, if Chris Curtis wins this fight, I think it's by knockout. If Chris Curtis goes out there and looks anywhere near minus 180, I think it's by knockout. If this fight goes the distance, like, Curtis probably loses round 1 by default. He always does. And we are in Canada. Barriault has the higher volume. Like, if this fight goes 15, it's going to be a super close fight. So, yeah, if Curtis does go out there and win like everybody thinks, I kind of think it's going to be by knockout. And then I'm looking at the props, and it's like Chris Curtis by knockout was like plus 260 on some books. And I was looking at Chris Curtis round 2, round 3, and they were just crazy numbers. Like, if Chris Curtis wins, I kind of lean towards it being a finish in the second or third round. Chris Curtis round 2 without the method, right? Because there's not much of a difference at all. So Curtis round 2 plus 900, Curtis round 3 plus 1400. I mean, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, if you think this fight is going to first of all, I think Curtis is all the finishing upside. But yeah, if you think this fight goes the distance, I think it's a close fight. So Curtis is expected to win, and I think these finish props on Curtis are way too poorly priced this week. I'll say that. So yeah, I put a core unit on both of them, plus 900 and plus 1400, and then I looked into Marc-Andre's career a little bit more, and he's not really fighting a lot of hard hitters. I mean, Julian Marquez, who's not that great. Eric Anders doesn't have a ton of power. Dolce Longambola doesn't have a ton of knockout ability. Oscar Pajota, Jung Young Park, Christoph Jocko, Andrew Sanchez, like, these guys don't have power. Chris Curtis does. So I think these late props for Chris Curtis are very live. And if he does not knock out Barriault, I think we're looking at like a split decision type fight. So, but yeah, just a half unit on this fight in total. Curtis round 2, round 3 is what I'm looking at. And then I think the split prop on either side could be interesting as well if it does go the distance there. All right, moving on. We got Mike Mott going against Neil Magny, and I did do a best bet video giving my favorite bet of the week that was posted on Thursday, so if you guys already saw that, you'll know what's coming here. Mike Mott to win in rounds 1 or rounds 2 at minus 129. I think that's a great way to play Mike Mott. I have 2 units on it. Also, if you guys have like the same game parlays on these sports books, I think DraftKings had the under 1.5 with Mike Mallott's plus 100. Like, this guy Mike Mott has 10 wins. All of them come under 1.5 rounds. 9 of them come in the first round. So it's safe to say if Mike Mott does win, I think it's early. But yeah, round 1, round 2, Mike Mott, minus 129. This guy's almost like a minus 400 favorite on a lot of books. I think it's a great way to play Mike Mott. He's going for the finish. He always does. I think he's getting Neil Magny at the right time here. Magny, 36 years old, looks fragile in there. He's been finished 8 times, 6 of which come by submission. So yeah, I think the most likely scenario is Mike Mott and Mike Mott in those first 2 rounds. With that said, though, if you're on the Neil Magny side, which there are some people on the Neil Magny side, these Neil Magny late props are crazy. Like Neil Magny round 3 plus 3,300, Neil Magny round 3 sub plus 10,000 on Bet365, plus 7,500 on BetRiver. I mean, these are ridiculous. So, you know, as kind of a hedge and as kind of as like if this fight does reach the 3rd round, like those are going to be super live. It is a big if, but if this fight does reach the 3rd round, Magny has multiple 3rd round finishes, including a submission win over D-Rod not too long ago. We've never seen Mike Mott in the 3rd round, at least not in like 10 years. So, yeah, I think it's Mott early or Magny late. So I have that, you know, round 1, round 2, Mott 2 units minus 129, and then a very small sprinkles, 0.15 units, Neil Magny round 3 plus 3,300, and then 0.1 unit, Magny round 3 sub plus 10,000. If Magny wins in round 3 by sub, it's like plus 15 units. So it's crazy. But if this fight reaches the 3rd round, you know, those could be live. I don't think it does, though. I think Mike Mott does probably submit Magny in the 1st there. So that's kind of how I'm attacking the violence in that fight. Moving on, we got Mara Bueno Silva going against Raquel Pennington. Not a ton of interest in this fight. Not a ton of things really sticking out other than Mara Bueno Silva inside the distance. I like her to win this fight. I like her to eventually get a finish. She's actually going out there and predicting the knockout all week. I kind of do lean towards submission myself. Mara Bueno Silva, 70% submission rate, 80% finish rate overall. And I just feel like Mara Bueno Silva is one of those fighters that always finds a way to win. Even if she's losing fights, she's always going to find a win. And more often than not, it's going to be by submission. I think all but one of her wins in the UFC do come by submission. So I feel like at some point, this fight is going to hit the mat, whether it's Bueno Silva on top or bottom. I think she's going to find the sub at some point there. So yeah, Mara Bueno Silva, I'm just going inside the distance, plus 150 for 0.75 units. I don't want to go sub. I don't want to go KO. I can see either. She's predicting the KO. I do lean towards sub, but there's not much of a difference between sub and inside the distance. So I'm just going 0.75 units, Mara Bueno Silva inside the distance and calling it a day there. And then we got the main event, Sean Strickland going against Dricus du Plessis. This line has closed up. You know, Dricus was an underdog all week. Now it's a pick'em. Curious to see where it goes from here, but yeah, here's how I'm playing the fight. So I was able to catch a Dricus submission, plus 950. I put a half unit on it. And I also have the fight ends by knockout, which is my biggest play of the week. 2.5 units, minus 117. That line is still there, which I do lean towards this fight ending by knockout. But so if the fight ends by knockout, I'll go up 1.61 units. If Dricus wins by sub, I'll go up 2.25 units. And if there's a decision or if Strickland wins by sub, I'll be out 3 units. But I think knockout is, like I said, most likely here. I think somebody's getting knocked out. I think Dricus could even get a sub as well. But yeah, I think this is Dricus early, Sean Strickland late. I was also looking at maybe some Sean Strickland late props or Dricus early props, but they're kind of all over those. So 3 units total on this fight. That's how I'm playing violence. I'd be surprised if this fight did go the full 25. Dricus has 22 fights. 21 of them have finished inside the distance. And Dricus has never seen a 4th round. He's never seen a 5th round. I don't really think that changes here. So I'm going to pick Dricus to win this fight by early finish. But if it gets to the late second, 3rd round, 4th round especially, it's going to heavily favor Sean Strickland, I think, there. So 2.5 units, fight ends by KO, minus 117, and then Dricus by submission, half a unit, plus 950. And if either of those happen, it should be a pretty big hit, either side. All right, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for watching. A ton of action this week, a ton of big plus money spots, a ton of big props, so hopefully hit a couple here. And yeah, guys, best of luck for UFC 297. Enjoy the fights. Leave a like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. See you later.